All right. Welcome, everybody. So I have a special guest, which you probably see here, Kathy. So she is a VIP 101 client of mine, and she has been a client of mine we've been working together since the end of October now, which is coming up on like around like 8 months that, we've been working together. And it's been awesome working with you, Kathy. You've been just incredible to work with, and you've been so insanely consistent since day one. And I think that's, one big reason why your results have been how they have been, over these past 8 months. But she, is currently down almost 30 pounds, just give or take like 1 or 2 pounds, like really close to hitting that, benchmark there. And just wanted to bring her on here to talk about her story and where she was before she started all this, maybe some of her thoughts that she had going through the whole process and, getting to where she is now, and just for her to share her struggles maybe before and during, the program, because I think it really hits hard when you hear someone else who is in a similar situation as you, who maybe really didn't think like weight loss was something that they could achieve, and them actually go through it and see success from it. It helps to give you like the inspiration and hope that, oh, like this is something that's possible for me. So wanted to bring her on. So first and foremost, Kathy, go ahead and kind of introduce yourself. Tell everyone like a little bit about you, any fun facts, what you do for a living, all of that.
So my name's Kathy. I live in Fairlawn, Ohio. Um, I'm director of operations for a company that's headquartered in Copley, which is close. So I'm at my desk all day. I have two children, a daughter who's going to be 21 next week, and a son who is 18, just graduated high school. I have a husband. um, and a dog and a cat. And um, I enjoy running, and I'm a true crime junkie. And that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. So are you one of those people who do you like listen to those like really gruesome crime podcasts all the time too?
I am. If I'm walking on my treadmill, I'm watching one of those shows. If I'm walking outside, I'm listening to one on a podcast. It's I love it.
That's funny. I mean, everyone has their own preferences, what they listen to or watch and all that. I'm sure it helps. I don't know. Like, what is it just like so mind blowing listening to some of those stories of like the
I
stuff
think
that some people have done and gone through?
Yeah, even though it's very disturbing, um, yeah, it fascinates me in a creepy kind of way. I mean, I don't understand how people are like, how they can be that way, but getting in their minds is kind of interesting, and just hearing the survival stories too, because not all true crime is not all is bad, but yeah, I just like it. And it helps
Yeah.
to have,
Well, I'm sure. I'm sure. Knock on wood. Like, if anything happened, you'd be prepared, well prepared on how to like escape or whatever. But, um, uh, cool. So tell everyone like how'd you even like fall upon my page? I know you said you found my page on Facebook. I can't remember if there was like a client that I had that maybe shared a post and that's how you found it. I think there was, but how did you even stumble upon my page and my coaching?
it was Hannah, a former client of yours, and she had
Mm.
posted progress pictures on her page, and I kind of went down the rabbit hole of looking on my own first, to see what she was doing, what she was involved in, and then I actually reached out to her via Messenger and asked her about you and your program, and she told me, without a doubt, do it, don't hesitate, and so I took the plunge.
Yeah, no, I remember that now, Hannah, because she had lost like 20-ish pounds, a little over 20 pounds in the program, and I remember that.
Hmm.
So like, tell. tell everyone where you were kind of before you like started this. You reached out to me, and I think you just like automatically filled out my coaching application. I think I don't
Hmm.
even know if we had like any Facebook message back and forth before then. But what were you trying before this point to
Yeah.
lose the weight that wasn't working? I'm assuming, and that's why you took the leap and signed up for this.
Uh, I tried, I mean, I'll back up. In college is when I gained, the first time that I gained a significant amount of weight. And then when I had children, I my base weight went up even more. And so since then, for years and years, I've yo-yoed. I dabbled in keto, which just did not work at all. The more the more you tell me that I can't eat something, that's all I can think about. I can't eat fruit. I want to eat fruit all day. I can't eat bread. I want to eat bread all day. So keto definitely did not work for me. So then I I tried counting calories, um, and it would work, but I couldn't keep the weight off. And what I found myself doing, um, like I would maybe join a group of friends that we all decided we wanted to lose weight together and motivate each other. Or I'd join a contest, but it was always, um, say, 4 weeks or 8 weeks of who can lose the most weight in that time period. So me being competitive, I would cut my calories down to 1,000 calories or whatever, to try to lose as much weight as quickly as possible. And I would lose 8, 10 pounds, whatever, um, but I would gain it back twice as fast, and then some. So I was always just riding the roller coaster of, um, the yo-yoing, and every time it seemed like I had to restrict myself even more to lose any weight. Um, and it was frustrating. I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. Felt like I was getting deeper and deeper into this, hole of, um, that I'm always going to be overweight. Um, I think I'm on the older end of your clients, but I was, dealing with menopause, and a lot of women my age are told that, well, yeah, when you hit menopause, your metabolism tanks, or you're going to gain weight, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to live with it, and it's just part of getting older. And I just I felt defeated, overall, and I just didn't want to live like that anymore. So, um, even though Hannah's much younger than I am, when I saw her results and reached out to her, and she told me, the one thing that I remember sticking out, in our conversation, was how you were telling her she had to eat more. And that is what happened when I started working with you. Um, you you had me eating more and more and more, and it was just surprising that, that was the what I needed to do, to get the ball rolling.
Hmm. Yeah. So like backtracking a little bit, which I loved, like all that info you gave there. Um, you dealt with a lot of yo-yo dieting, back and forth, and tried some unsustainable things for you of like keto, which totally understandable, unsustainable for me too. Would not be able to cut out all carbs, and um, which you don't need to, obviously. Uh, but then you tried some things like calorie counting. And curious, like off the top of your head, do you remember how many calories you were aiming for when you tried that?
um, I would say probably around 1,200, but then it would drop. So I used MyFitnessPal, even, for a decade or longer. I've used MyFitnessPal, and it's a great tool for tracking your food, but it
Mm-hmm.
has a feature in it that I I feel like I abused. And that is at the end of the day, when you click, you can click complete diary, and it tells you if every day was like today, in 5 weeks, you will weigh whatever. So if that day I ate 1,200 calories and exercised 200 calories, and it said, well, you'll weigh this in 5 weeks, then my brain would think, oh, well, if I cut it down to 1,100 calories and burn 300 calories, then it's going to be this. And I was constantly, it's kind of like when you get in the car and your GPS says it's going to take you 30 minutes to get somewhere. And it's like, wonder if I can get there in 27. Like it was this constant um, struggle, not struggle, but like I was competing with myself in a really unhealthy way, um, because I would restrict my calories extremely, but I couldn't sustain it for more than a couple weeks, a few weeks. I mean, it was very, very short term.
Yeah, no, that's I'm glad you brought that up about the MyFitnessPal issue because I didn't even realize it necessarily did that part of it where it would say, okay, if you did this for this long, you would lose this amount of weight. And it's a horrible feature to have on there for somebody like, where you were in the past where you would try to like take advantage of that estimated calculation. And the thing is like we can use math to figure out roughly like how much you would lose if you did this. Like that's like the basis. But at the same time, like there are so many hormonal shifts and changes that happen when you change your calorie amount that it doesn't always pan out to exactly what this equation would say. So even if like you were able to stick to the 1100, the amount of fat loss you would see would likely be less than what MyFitnessPal is predicting because of the hormonal shifts that are going to happen when you do that. But also like the unsustainable factor of it too. Um, I love the analogy you used as far as like driving on the highway and using that estimated time of arrival because it's like, sure, if you're driving, let's say the speed limit is 65 and you decide to go 70 and shave off a couple of minutes, like you might be fine and you might shave off those couple of minutes. But the more extreme you go, the more likely you're going to literally and figuratively crash and burn. And when
Right.
you decide, okay, I'm going to try to shave off 30 minutes of my drive or 20 minutes and go 100 miles per hour instead of 65, you're more likely to get into an accident and not even make it to your destination, which is like a perfect analogy for the weight loss and the fat loss is like, yeah, if you eat 1600 instead of 1700, maybe you speed up that timeline of fat loss a little bit. Maybe, like I said, the hormonal fluctuations will, play a role in there. But you might not like that's not extreme enough to cause like that crash and burn scenario. But if you keep going down lower and lower, and the more extreme you get to 1200, 1100, then you're going to crash and burn and never make it there. So I love that analogy actually. Um, Something else you brought up too were these quick challenges that you would do a lot. And I find like these things are so enticing because one, they're short duration and you're like, okay, like I can commit to 4 weeks of something. Like it's not that long. Um, Another reason why they're like intriguing is because a lot of times there's some kind of like prize or giveaway with it. And also too, like you said, sometimes your friends do the same things, but it's a very slippery slope doing some kind of giveaway, prize, transformation in a short period of time. Even a long period of time, it's kind of a slippery slope too, because people want the biggest transformation and the biggest weight loss in the shortest amount of time because they want to win, which is why, like, if you followed me, if you're listening to this for a while, I've never done like a weight loss challenge
Right.
of, okay, here's someone who loses the most amount of weight in the next 3 weeks is going to win a prize. Like I've never done that and I never will because I forces people to like try to lose weight at a pace that might not be sustainable for them.
Yeah.
Someone might join this challenge and they might have like a lot of weight to lose and they might lose 10 pounds really quickly. And maybe a lot of it is body fat, maybe a lot of it is water weight, but that might not be unhealthy for them depending on where they're at. But somebody else who's smaller losing 10 pounds in that time frame is going to be impossible or it's going to be really unhealthy. So it's like you're playing an unfair game if you're going off of just poundage lost. And like I said, it pushes people to do unsustainable things, which is why even with this step challenge we're doing, some people put on step challenges where whoever gets the most amount of steps in a month like wins,
Hmm.
which I'm not saying that's necessarily always a bad idea, but it could force people to like, okay, I'm going to get 20,000 steps each day, even if that's really unsustainable for me. And then, like, once the challenge is over with, they're like, okay, I'm done. And then they just sit around and don't get any steps. Where, like, I want to put on challenges and things that gets people to like do more than what they have been doing because like we want to push ourselves a little bit more and progress, but also that is like realistic to maintain even after the challenge is over with, which is why like for the step challenge you either have the goal that I set for you if you're a one-on-one client or just 10,000 steps, so nothing like crazy. So big issue with those a lot of those challenges and the way they're set up, which is why I try to find ways to do these fun challenges but also to make them like more of something you can stick with even after the challenge is over with.
Right.
So you mentioned about when you signed on and when you were talking to Hannah, the big thing that stuck out was having to eat more. So I would love to hear your thoughts on like your just how you thought or how you felt when I introduced, okay, we're going to go into this priming phase, we're going to build your calories up. And as we started doing it, some of the feelings you were having, whether it was you were nervous or scared or uncomfortable, if you didn't think this would work for you, like I want to hear like your honest thoughts when we kind of started that process.
At first, I will be honest, I thought, what a waste of money. Because I, it's so counterintuitive. I mean, you don't think, or I didn't think that there was any way that raising my calories. I mean, you raised me every week for, I want to say 2 months. I mean, I was up to like 2,000 calories a day, but I was still losing weight, which was crazy to me. I do remember like a few weeks in, my husband asking me, he was like, I thought you were working with that online dietitian trainer guy. And I'm like, I am. And I know he thought I was cheating or something with eating so much. But yeah, I was skeptical because my brain I couldn't wrap my brain around the fact that eating that much was going to work or help.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you felt that way because I remember like some of your check-ins I think were just um like I could tell you were uncomfortable with, oh, we're going to increase calories again, like when are we going to go into a fat loss phase? Well, at the same time, like I went back and looked at your stats and stuff before this. You had lost 6 pounds. I think we were in the priming phase for either 6 or 7 weeks, and you had lost like 6 pounds during that phase. And we brought your calories from your intake was like 1,400 when I just had you track your usual food intake. That's what you were typically eating. And we
Mhm,
brought it up to almost 2,100. It was around like 2,000 ish. But
mhm.
from increasing your calories by 6 to almost 700 over a span of like 6 to 7 weeks, you actually lost 6 pounds during the process. So we actually got like almost ahead of our fat loss goals before we even started a fat loss phase, which was great, which doesn't happen to everybody. So a lot of times, sometimes you kind of maintain your weight a little bit more in that priming phase, but even if you maintain your weight more, you're building your metabolism up and you're building your calories up. So then when we went into the fat loss phase after, it wasn't so extreme compared to like what you had to do in the past of going down to, 1200 or 1100. So like what were your, I guess, thoughts on or feelings like when we entered the fat loss phase? How different did it feel or was anything surprising about it compared to um, previous times you've tried to lose body fat or lose weight?
Um, the biggest difference was not the biggest, but one of the big differences was how much I could eat. Um, and how simple you make the program. I mean, like, I had my calorie goal and then, fat goal. And then, you introduced a carb and a fat. But as long as my protein and my calories were, those are the main two things that I still even focus on, the carbs and fat, not as much. But I just was surprised, pleasantly surprised with how much I could eat just by switching things and eating the right kinds of foods. Um, Obviously, I mean, I before I must have just been eating nothing but carbs because I just introducing the protein and making sure I get the amount of protein I need every day. I can just eat so much more food. So the 1500 that you have me at now doesn't even really feel like a diet. I mean, there are days that I'm hungrier, or maybe crave something, um, but it just feels so much more sustainable than what I was doing before on my own.
Yeah. So I love that, that you mentioned about just how much more food you can eat. And also too, like you're able to eat, 300 to 400 calories more than what you were attempting to eat before to lose the weight. Um, so like not only do you feel like you can eat more food, but like because you spent that time in the priming phase building your metabolism up, we're able to eat this much and lose weight. Like if we would have started a fat loss phase initially, you probably still would have lost body fat, but we probably would have had to have eaten maybe like 1300 to lose the same amount of body fat versus 15. But taking that time to build your calories up and your metabolism up first allowed us to have those calories just, 2 to 300 calories higher than what we would have had to, which then just overall like makes a huge difference. Like 2 to 300 extra calories in your day is like, one extra snack before bed maybe so you don't feel like full at all, or a little bit extra, with each meal so you can actually feel full throughout the day.
And you
Um,
2 days 300 calories above that.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So, yeah, we started then eventually implementing like 2 high calorie days in your week 2, which are a little bit closer to maintenance. And a lot of people don't do that either. Like they have this goal of fat loss or weight loss and they just want to have like the same low calorie level for the next like 3, 4 months straight. But having those days that are a little bit higher in calories sprinkled in there help out a ton with managing hunger. They help out a ton with giving you more flexibility to live your life a little bit, go out to dinner and not feel so like crammed with the amount of calories you're trying to fit in there. And they also allow you to practice maintaining your weight a little bit more. Like every time we have those 1 to 2 high calorie days, they're right around maintenance. So you're kind of practicing what it feels like to eat at maintenance those days. And then also when we've implemented like the diet breaks and maintenance phases in between, like those are perfect periods to practice maintaining your weight along the way too, because the problem you had before, which is a problem so many people have of yo-yo dieting, is that they don't know like what maintenance even feels like, or they don't know how to eat at maintenance and not gain the weight back. Um, I also love too that you mentioned how simple it is, and like you are one of the probably few clients where I've actually given you like a carbon fat range, and the only reason why I've done that is because you were so consistent with hitting your calories and protein. But we could have just focused on calories and protein this whole time and have gotten like the same result. And I think it's really important to emphasize that because there's so many like nutrition rules out there you could try to follow of like, okay, your sugar intake or this or that or cutting this out. And it just really overcomplicates things. And if you just have those two things, calories and protein, and you just stay consistent with those and know what adjustments to make, along the way, along with obviously like your workouts and your steps, like those four things are going to get you so far if you're doing the right thing with those four things.
right. I mean, I still I don't know how much you dive into our food logs, but I still have ice cream almost every single night after dinner. I mean, it's the like I said, it's simple. I think before I was definitely um, underestimating how active I was. Like I thought I was more active. And then when you gave me the step goal, I realized, wow, I sit way more than I thought. And without intentionally um, making time to get steps in, there was probably days I would only get 2 or 3 thousand steps. So that was definitely an eye opener. But again, it's not complicated. It's still a simple planned, there's like, 3 boxes I got to check each day, and one of them is my steps. And it just, it's amazing how much a little difference, even though it's work, I don't want to make it sound like it's not, like your clients aren't having to put in the work, but it's not impossible. Nothing, I mean, they're simple things that you just have to follow through on. And I love the one thing you kind of, I know you've said it more than once. Um, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. And the more consistent you are, the more you will reach your goals. So I just try and remember that when I do have a day that I, go over in calories or whatever, that, um, I'm not perfect. We don't have to be perfect. You'll get there eventually.
Hmm. Yeah, and so it's funny you mentioned about the ice cream, which is like just amazing, right? That the fact that you can eat ice cream almost every day and still lose body fat, and I eat some kind of chocolate usually every single day too, and I can still like lose body fat if I want, or maintain my weight if I want.
Yeah.
And it's just such a freeing feeling, at least in my opinion, when you do like track your food and hit these, the calorie and protein ranges, but learn how to be flexible and fit some of those treats in and still see like the body fat come off and still see the progress you want. It's like very freeing. Like, wow, like there are really no foods that are completely off limits. And it's not like just because you had ice cream that it automatically ruins your day as far as fat loss. Like if you're still in that calorie and protein range, you're still going to see the body fat you want, gone. Um, and the consistency part, is so important that you brought up too. And one thing that so many people like don't grasp, or it's a hard concept for them to grasp, is just what you said about if you have one day where you go over your calories, it's not going to ruin things. And like think about the opposite. One day of being 100% on your diet isn't going to like cause this dramatic change in your body either. So why would one day being way off on your diet cause this huge change in your body like the other direction? It
Right.
doesn't. Like it's all like an equal scale. So like if you just keep reminding yourself of that, of like one day is not going to give me a six pack, just like one day is not going to make me gain 10 pounds,
Mhm.
then you can just like overall keep those emotions like at bay with the process and just think, okay, like I'll just hit my goals a little bit better today and I'll plan a little bit better for, tomorrow or whatever it is. So I think having that just like really good emotional regulation within the process and not having too many highs and lows, I think is like really important for like consistency too.
Mhm.
Um, so what were your thoughts on like when we started implementing the diet breaks and the maintenance phases, or even like the maintenance days, kind of what we're doing now, those two high days? Was that concept like new to you? Did you ever really think about that? Because I find a lot of people never really think about implementing those kinds of things. Like they just think, okay, here's my diet, and once the diet is over, then I'm just like done. Like they don't purposely still track their food, but hit a higher food intake. They either track their food to lose the weight and then just stop tracking once they've lost it. So, like, what were your thoughts? Like, was that surprising? Was that something new to you?
It was definitely new to me. That, and I think that's why I had been in such the vicious cycle that I was in, was because I was either all or nothing. I was either dieting or I was not dieting. And um, this has just been a transition from that up and down to just a steady, sustainable, um, like I can do this. I can keep doing this. This is not impossible to continue to um, eat this way, fuel my body the correct way. Um, where before it was, like I said, all or nothing pretty much for me.
Yeah, and something I heard on, I think it was on TikTok like a month or two ago. I don't remember like what account it was that talked about this, but they were describing when you go into a fat loss phase, like the differences you should see between that and eating at maintenance, and like the differences should be like very subtle. Like you really shouldn't see this huge dramatic change in what you're doing when you go into a fat loss phase. Like I think a lot of people when they get ready to start a diet or they're like, okay, I'm ready to lose these 20 pounds, they like almost they're like, I don't know, putting all this equipment on, buckling up, like getting ready for this big intense ride and everything, where it should be just so subtle. Like there should be a slight change in just obviously like the amount of calories you're eating because we have to create that deficit for fat loss. But like your walking habits should pretty much stay the same. Your workout habits should basically stay the same. Your protein intake should stay the same. And the only thing that's changing is maybe, okay, I'm having a little bit smaller portion size of this or a little bit smaller portion size of that. And even your food choices probably really shouldn't change that much. Sure, you might have to make a little bit more sacrifices here and there. Like, you know, with your ice cream, maybe instead of having 2 cups of it when you're at maintenance, maybe you have to have just like 1 cup in a fat loss phase. Or maybe instead of having, you know, a full baked potato with your lunch in your maintenance phase or, you know, eating at maintenance, maybe you have to have half of a baked potato in a fat loss phase. But they should be, for the most part, like very subtle changes. And other people probably shouldn't really know the difference between like when you're in a fat loss phase versus when you're not. Like when I go in a fat loss phase, like my family, friends, like they probably would never really know, like because the changes you have to make should be like very subtle, you know, like I kind of described, and it shouldn't be this big like ordeal of okay, like I'm gearing up for this super intense thing to, you know, shed all this weight really quick. It should be just like a slight push, lose a little bit of weight, and then, you know, you let off the gas a little bit to like practice maintaining that, and then another slight push to lose a little bit more, let off the gas a little bit more to maintain it, and then just that like slight kind of up and down until obviously you get to your end goal, and then it's just kind of steady like from there.
Right. I think that's why your program um, was so attractive, or has been so attractive to me, because it's not anything extreme. Um, you only have me doing workouts twice a week. I mean, usually when you think that you're going to start working with a personal trainer, I was thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be in the gym every single day, and I'm going to be eating all this crazy food and stuff I don't like, and um, you don't push the cardio," which is not what I was expecting at all. You know, you see these programs on TV and stuff, and it's shred this and all this crazy. So yeah, just I really like that it's not anything extreme. It's all stuff that anybody can do.
Yeah, no, I love that. So, fast forward to now, to like 8 months later since you started. Kind of tell everyone, you know, where you're at now as far as like body weight wise, you know, like how much you've lost total. Also, tell everyone like where you're at, like your with your mindset, you know, with your confidence, maybe with strength level, any like wins that you've experienced, you know, along the way that really stuck out to you. Kind of like where you are now compared to, you know, where you were before.
Well, like you said, I'm down almost 30 pounds, um, which when I first started, I thought that that would be um, right around, that I would be getting close to, okay, I've done what I want to do, and I'm done. But um, you introduced me to the lifting, which I'm more and more enjoying, which I never thought I would say. So I I do have the goal of wanting to continue to get stronger. Um, but overall, I mean, self confidence, self esteem, I've got it back. Um, Feeling in control now because before I felt like I wasn't in control. I felt like food controlled me, but I got control back. It's very empowering um, be able um, to be stronger in the gym. It raises your confidence at work. When you walk into a room, you don't um, because you look better, you feel better. It just all around it just really raises your confidence level.
Yeah. No, I love all that. And I had a list of like wins from your recent check-ins that I was going to go off of, but I had to, because of the technical difficulty before we started this, had to like use my phone to look at the camera right now. So I can't pull it up, but like there were so many like awesome wins, even just the past like 5, 6 weeks from that I pulled from your check-ins of just like being able to fit, better in your clothes, having to go shopping, I think at least twice throughout this
Yeah.
process. You've told me about how you had to go shopping for new clothes because your other clothes didn't fit anymore. And I know you mentioned that your husband calls you Slim now. It's like a nickname, I guess, that he gave you. And like your progress pictures are just unbelievable. Just like the changes you've seen overall, like muscles popping through, abs popping through, even. And um, just your confidence too, which is the most important part. Like when somebody wants to do this and they want to lose weight, it's either usually for one of two reasons. One is health reasons, like they're having some kind of health issue that they need to lose the weight for, or number two is like they're just lacking confidence in themselves. So it's like the weight loss is what they think they want, but it's really just the vehicle to getting that improved confidence.
Hmm.
And so I'm just really happy to hear like just how much better you feel in that department, and very cool to hear about how like you're getting into lifting more and feeling empowered by it and stronger by it, and how it bleeds into all these other areas of your life, because that was a big change for me in 2013 when I had my own transformation. Was like when I was really consistent, started to change my body and started to go to the gym consistently, I gained so much more confidence in myself to do other things in my schoolwork, in my, future career, in my relationships, friendships, all of that, just from taking care of myself. And it's not a direct reflection, I don't think, of the physical result you see in the mirror. I think it's a reflection of you just like committing to something and just proving to yourself you can be consistent with something day in and day out. I think that like really truly builds the confidence there. And
Right.
something else I wanted to just point out briefly was like you mentioned in the beginning of this that you're maybe a little bit older on average than like my average client, even though I do have quite a few women who are in their 50s and everything. And a lot of people get to that age and they think, like you said, it's not possible for them. Their metabolism is slowed down. They're hitting menopause and all of this stuff. And like there's a lot of research actually recently that came out that like age doesn't really affect your metabolism actually until you maybe get like 70 years old or older. Um, but obviously there are like hormonal changes that happen in menopause that can affect how tired you feel and your overall just like mental energy, which then can impact your lifestyle. But as long as you keep that lifestyle in place and fuel yourself properly too, so you can kind of combat that dip in energy you feel from those hormonal changes by having good quality nutrients and not under eating too, then like you can overcome those things and still see a ton of success. And like you're a perfect example of that. Um, so just to kind of wrap up, I want to ask you, like, if somebody was thinking about joining or was like on the fence, um, whether it be the one-on-one coaching or even the I Thrive Collective now, like, what would be your piece of advice for them?
Um, do it and don't put it off. I wish I had ran across you years ago and not put myself through the um, the yo-yoing. I mean, it's just an awful feeling. So the difference now, in how I feel and look, um, you you want to get the ball rolling as quickly as you can. So I definitely would encourage anybody, that wants to make the change and have it be, like I've said before, something that's not super extreme. It's not complicated. It's doable, sustainable. I just really think that they need to, invest in themselves and sign up with you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate all that, Kathy, and really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. Like I said, I think there's a lot of people who probably will listen to this who are in the same boat with the yo-yo dieting, with trying keto, with even trying counting calories, but probably doing it too extreme, who have tried all the weight loss challenges and everything with really no success, or at least no long-term success, who
Hmm.
think that it's just not in the cards for them. And I'm hoping like your story will help to inspire someone else to take the like appropriate leap, whether it's the collective, whether it's my one-on-one coaching, or whether it's doing it the right way on their own too. Um, so appreciate you coming on, and I'm excited for us to hit that 30-pound milestone probably soon, probably within the next couple weeks, I'm sure. And excited to just like keep moving forward and just keep making progress in so many other areas.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and for everyone like listening and stuff. We'll see you guys in the next one then.
All right. Thanks.